All right. Good morning. What's up, everybody? Matt Moda here with another live stream of Fast Break Bets presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. Everybody knows that. We go through the entire betting slate, giving out at least one pick for each game. Everybody knows that as well. For today, we only have 6 games on tap. I feel like I've come on here some streams and we've had like 13 games on Fridays. It hasn't been the case recently. Again, today we only have 6. But I was able to find 8 total plays that I did like. We're going to have 5 units risked total. I mentioned this on Wednesday's show, but one small update that we're going to have is the end of every show, I'm going to be giving out a same game parlay on the best game of the day. So for today, the Clippers Pelicans is probably the best game, but the Clippers are on a back-to-back, so we're not 100% sure who's going to play. So I'm choosing the Nuggets Spurs. Could be a blowout, but Victor Wembanyama is like must-see TV, and the Nuggets, I think, are still going to win the title. So I'll give out a same-game parlay for that game. Betting Pros added a new feature called the called the Betting Pros Same-Game Parlay Builder. So definitely use that for your own SGPs. And like I said, I'll give out my own. Last stream on Wednesday, another profitable day, albeit a little slight. We went 3-3, but thanks to the odds, we had a profit of 0.6 units. I'm a little bit frustrated with myself because I mentioned how gross that Hornets-Grizzlies game was, and I had Mitchich as a play. I should have left it as a lean because, who wants to have real stakes in that game? But I kept it as a 1-unit play, and of course we got hooked, and that play lost. If I hadn't played that, we would have been up like 2 units because it was a little bit juiced. But regardless, we'll gladly take a day in the green. That now makes it 4 out of our last 5 streams we have been in the green, which is amazing because we had such bad luck prior to that. So I'm glad that I kept saying it was going to turn around, and it actually has. We're up over 7.5 units in our last 5 streams. So it's been nice to get on a hot streak. Let's hope we can keep it going. While you're in, those of you that are in here, I appreciate you for joining. Make sure to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel if you are not already. And then most importantly, get all of your questions in the chat, all of your comments, whatever it may be. I see Joe was in here even before we went live. Hell yeah. I appreciate you for joining. Izana, again, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Looking forward to the show. Appreciate you for tuning in. And then Tony, #thanks, Matt, time to get rich. Yes, exactly. So with the lighter slate, I always appreciate everybody getting their comments in. And when you see me look over, that's what I'm doing. I'm just monitoring the chat. So whether you have a question for me, whether you just want to comment on a certain game or a pick or whatever it may be, more than welcome and encouraged, one would say, to get all your questions, comments, concerns, anything in the chat. Let's get into today's bangers. First up, Suns versus Hornets game. I'm taking Brandon Miller over 2.5 made 3-pointers. This is a full. I'm putting 1 unit on this play. Best offered at -120 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. And I believe since I updated the spreadsheet, I believe you can get it also -120 at DraftKings as well. You'll see DraftKings pop up on the screen here, giving you all the best odds and stuff. Let's see, Brandon Miller. Yeah, -120. So go ahead and lock that bad boy in on DraftKings at -120. I'm also going to actually ladder him to 4+ made as well. That's only going to be a half unit play. I believe that was at +250 odds, if I remember correctly. We had some ladder plays cash yesterday and on Wednesday, so it's been pretty good there. But in terms of the play, the Suns, they just cannot guard the 3-point line to save their lives. They've just been terrible guarding the 3-point line. Just look at last night, and it's been beyond the game last night, but last night was a perfect example. 5 separate players on the Celtics hit their 3-point prop against the Suns. And some of them smoked their over 3-point prop. Drew Holiday and Derek White, they both had an over-under of 2.5. They both made 3, obviously cashing the over. Al Horford made 6 3-pointers against the Suns. Jaylen Brown made 5. Jason Tatum made 4. I know that the Celtics are one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, but this is also looking at their over-under as well. So even the books who know that the Celtics shoot a lot, they still all cash their over. And like I said, it's not like last night was just an anomaly either. The reason why, for those of you that follow me, I was on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown 3-point props. It's because this has been a theme basically since the All-Star break, right? Since the NBA came back from the All-Star break on February 22nd, look at the categories in which the Suns are allowing all these 3-pointers. Corner threes, they're allowing the 5th most made since the All-Star break. Above the break 3-pointers, they're allowing the 4th most made. Pull-up three-pointers, they're allowing the third most made. And catch-and-shoot three-pointers, they're allowing the fifth most made. And it's not like it's only bad luck that teams are just having hot shooting days against them. There is some of that. They're also giving up a ton of attempts in all these categories as well. That's literally every single possible category that you could take a three-pointer. Corner three above the break. Pull up, catch and shoot. There's no other ways in which you can take a three-pointer. You got all your bases covered. And as for Brandon Miller, I mean, he's been a great shooter. Even if you put the rookie qualifier, even if you take that off, he's been a great shooter this year. Since the All-Star break, he's third on the Hornets in terms of pull-up three-pointers made. He's not really a pull-up guy, so the fact that he's even third, I was impressed with. It's more so the other categories. He's second in terms of catch and shoot, both attempts and makes on the Hornets. Only Davis Bertans is in front of him, and that guy, his only job is to catch and shoot, just fire away and nothing else. And Brandon Miller obviously does a lot more than Bertans, but he's second on the team, like I said, in both made and attempted catch and shoot three-pointers. He's third in corner three-pointers, both made and attempted, and he attempts the most above the break three-pointers as well. So he's a well-balanced shooter for the Hornets and just in general. And against the Suns team that cannot guard the three-point line, I just think he's going to continue to fire away. I like the fact that he's had a really high floor in terms of his three-point prop. He's made at least two in every game in the last 10 except for one. I think he's literally made two in 9 of 10 games. He hasn't hit the 3 or 4 number as often as you'd like, but the fact that he has the floor and the really good matchup against the Suns is why I'm on this play. I absolutely love this one. Obviously, we're putting no lean here. We're putting the full unit on it. Next up, Heat versus Pistons game. I'm taking Jimmy Butler over 22.5 points. Plus 100 odds is the best offered price at DraftKings. You can see the up-to-date odds obviously on the screen here. We're going to always go through and show the odds on DraftKings. Sorry, I was reading a comment and got distracted. Got your name pronounced correctly, Izana. That's perfect. Another type of shooting I can think of is off the move. I believe that is encapsulated in catch and shoot, because if you're running off of a screen, you're catching and shooting. But I mean, you can get even more granular than that. You can do step back, you could do side step, stuff like that. But in terms of as high level as you can get, I mean, those are the main 4. I wish you could get the off-screen numbers. I bet you probably can find that just to get even more granular. But anyways, back to the Jimmy Butler play. Again, over 22.5 points. I also am going to ladder him as well. I'm going to put a half unit on him to get to 25 plus points. I get that it's always scary to back Jimmy Butler to score points in the regular season. That's not what he does. But I think this is a great spot for him to have a good game. First of all, it's a great matchup against the Pistons. Pistons are literally giving up the most points per game to Jimmy Butler's scoring profile. And it makes complete sense when you look into it, right? So the Pistons are giving up the 3rd most points per game in the NBA, specifically via the isolation. And Jimmy on the Heat scores the most points on the Heat via ISO by a wide margin too. Like, he's really the only one that isolates on the Heat. But the main reason why I think Jimmy Butler has such a good shooting profile against the Pistons specifically is because the Pistons foul at the highest rate in the NBA, right? On ISOs, on drives, on whatever you may be, they foul at such a high rate. If you look at ISOs specifically, because that's the only data, I couldn't find fouls on drives, which was frustrating, but whatever. On isolation plays specifically, the Pistons foul at the 3rd highest rate in the NBA, but they're literally 0.01% behind the 2 teams above them. So the teams in first are tied for first, and then the Pistons are third, literally 0.01% behind them. For all intents and purposes, they foul tied for third for fouling at the highest rate in the NBA. Jimmy Butler, when he ISOs, is literally the best in the NBA at drawing fouls. And everybody knows that. If you watch Jimmy Butler, he's great at drawing contact and getting to the line, and that is a skill, being able to do that. So when he ISOs, he gets fouled at a 28.5% rate. For context, if you filter the data filter the data for guys that ISO on more than one possession per game, so anybody that ISOs literally more than one time per game, nobody else is above 25%. And like I said, Jimmy Butler's at 28.5. It's crazy. You don't think of the Pistons as one of the defenses. Like, if you look at their baskets given up around the rim, they're not among the worst. It's because they have a lot of big bodies, but they're young and they're really handsy and they foul a ton. So you don't think of them as the Wizards or the Pacers as teams that are terrible at guarding the rim, but they're just as bad, mostly because of how they foul or how much they foul. Last time these two teams played, Jimmy Butler scored 26 points. He got to the line 12 times. The first time these two teams played this year, so they played twice. This will be his third. He did miss it the first game. In that game, he got to the line another 9 times, and he shot 6 of 18 from the field. With that type of volume and with how frequently he's going to get to the line, I'm very confident he's going to go over the 22.5 number that we have him at. It's unlikely that he has such a poor shooting game when he went 6 of 18. In the game in which he scored 26, he only shot 13 times. So he doesn't need to have a ton of volume. It's just as long as he has minor efficiency, we'll be good. That's our second play. I talked about DraftKings Sportsbook a ton. I want to just dial into that a little bit. So the thrill and excitement of March Mania is here. It's March Madness time. In DraftKings Sportsbook, one of the America's top-rated sportsbook apps, they're giving new customers a shot to turn $5 into $150 instantly in bonus bets with any college basketball bet. All you need to do is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, or you can head to bettingpros.com/DK. Use code FANTASYPROS, all caps. I'm not sure if that matters or not, but just to be safe, all caps, FANTASYPROS, one word. And again, new customers can bet $5 to get $150 instantly in bonus bets only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code FANTASYPROS. The crown is yours. Zana like coming off the screen, some sort of action like that. Yeah, I'm guessing there are sites in which you can get as specific as that if you want to. And that's probably something I should look into. So I appreciate you commenting. All right, we're 2 picks deep. Next play that we're going to lock in here, Magic versus Raptors. This is another mainline play. I don't play a ton of these. I generally do a better job with player props, but I feel like I do have a higher hit rate when I play mainline plays. I'm taking the Magic -8. This is a full unit play, unit McSlam. Best offered per the Betting Pros consensus at -110 odds. And the spread has been moving in favor of the Magic. So it opened up at -7, went to 7.5. Now it's at -8. But one benefit of using the Betting Pros app, which I'll get into a little bit more in detail, is you can look at where all the sportsbook are pricing mainline plays, and you can find situations where you're getting some sort of mispriced line. Like if every book has this at 8.5 or 9, and we're getting it at -8 for -110 odds, that's a pretty valuable play. That's how you can use the app, excuse me, to find plays like that. And the Magic, I went with the Magic last stream on Wednesday. I took their spread. They came through for us and cashed. Now I'm going to keep riding this heater on the Magic. They're one of the best. They've been one of the best teams in the NBA since the All-Star break, even more recently in the month of March. And even though that they're not home for this game, they were at home last time, I still love backing them in this game. They've now won 9 of their last 12 games. And since the All-Star break, so almost a month of action, they have the 6th best net rating in the entire NBA and the 2nd best specifically in the Eastern Conference. Only the Celtics, of course the Celtics are above them, but literally the 2nd best net rating in the Eastern Conference since the All-Star break. If you look at that same span, February 22nd on, not only have the Raptors been among the worst teams in the NBA, but if you look even more recently with all of their injuries, they've been literally the worst team in the NBA. So Scottie Barnes got hurt on March 1st. If you isolate the data from March 1st until now, they literally have the worst net rating in the NBA. Literally worst, not the Pistons, not the Wizards. Nobody is worse than them in terms of net rating in the month of March. They're also 1-6 in that stretch as well. And obviously Scottie Barnes is still out in this game, and they're going to be missing Jakob Poeltl and RJ Barrett. The Magic have been red hot. The Raptors have been ice cold, and they're banged up. So I think that that's going to continue, and that the Magic are going to cover the 8-point spread. So I got something in my throat, but I'm good now. Thoughts on Kelly or Quickly? I like the Emmanuel Quickly angle. The Magic are one of the best teams guarding the rim and guarding the interior, but they can be had via jump shots, and that's mostly what Quickly does. Kelly is obviously a good shooter, but he's more of a big man that shoots. It's more so the guards that can pull up that are better against the Magic. I didn't look into his props specifically, so I can't really comment from a betting perspective, but I like the Quickly angle, and I like specifically his 3-point angle as well. Looking at this is back to the Pistons. Jalen and Asar could be so good if they were even an average shooters, 100%, especially for Asar Thompson. He could be so good if he just had some semblance of a jump shot. And he's only a rookie, so I think he'll get there. I actually really like both of the twins, Asar and Amen Thompson. Quickly's usage rates over 25% without Scotty, and Kelly's line is only 13.5. Who else is scoring? Good question. They might only score 75 points. The Magic have held teams to that amount. Like the Knicks, I think, didn't even score 75. So I'll just be a little bit careful with that line of thought. But yeah, I mean, especially the Quickly. Of the two, I would look at Quickly the heaviest. All right, 3 picks down. Let's get into our next one. Clippers, Pelicans. I'm taking James Harden under 14.5 points. Best offered at -111 odds per the Betting Pros consensus. I get that 14 points is pretty low for James Harden, but I think it's pretty low for a good reason. At this point in his career, there are certain matchups that give Harden so much trouble. And the matchups, it's long, lanky, physical defenders who are going to get into his space and have enough length and physicality that his step back, he doesn't generate as much space on his step back because of the length of the defenders. That's literally the Pelicans. Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Brandon Ingram. There's long, lanky, mean. Even Jose Alvarado is a pit bull on defense. So I expect this to be another matchup where James Harden struggles to score. Yeah, I could see his assist number being pretty good. I could see him getting some assists, but I'm more confident in his lack of scoring. So that's the official play that we're going to lock in here. Just look at the games in which James Harden has recently struggled. Look at those matchups. Last game that he played, because he missed yesterday, 12 points against Minnesota. He also played the Timberwolves about a week prior to that. He scored 4 points in that game in 34 minutes of play, literally going 0 of 10 from the field and 0 of 6 from 3. The Timberwolves defense is better than the Pelicans, but it's guys that like Jaden McDaniels who could just get in James Harden's grill and make stuff really uncomfortable for him. Even the Bulls, mostly because of Alex Caruso, it just hounds him, just gets right up in his grill, doesn't give him a lot of space. 2 games ago, so last game, 12 points against Minnesota. 2 games ago, he also went under the 14.5 number. He had, again, in 34 minutes of play, so it wasn't like, it's not like he went under due to limited minutes. 4 of 10 shooting, all of that from 3-point range. Literally did not attempt a 2-point shot against the Bulls. Now, last time these 2 teams played, Harden did cash the over. He scored 19 points in that game, so it wasn't like he blew up. Still an over by a decent amount. But the 2 games prior to that, he scored in the single digits. I think that's more likely tonight than him going back to 19 points. So I love fading James Harden in this matchup. The reason why I left it as a lean is you just got to see who plays for the Clippers. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. He's been banged up. Kawhi, PG, they've all been a little bit banged up. Do you worry about really perfect timed question? Sorry if the stream versus when I'm answering these is a little bit delayed versus when you ask them. But do you worry about late injury news on back-to-back for PG and Kawhi, forcing Kawhi to try and score more? Absolutely, yes. That's why I'm currently leaving it as a lean. You'll see in the comments that it's listed as a lean, not a 1-unit play. And that's exactly why. If I knew that PG and Kawhi were playing, I would slam this play. But I'm leaving it as a lean for now. And I probably will upgrade it if they're fully healthy. So I would say look out for that, just so you can get the best odds on the Betting Pros app. And then also follow me as well, and I'll post something out. Anyways, before we get into our next pick, we are exactly halfway done. I want to talk to you about the sorry. I want to talk to you. My dog got me up at 4 a.m, so my I guess just a little bit more congested than normal. I want to talk to you about the Betting Pros app. You can find it at bettingpros.com/apps. The prop bet cheat sheet is what I find the most valuable of the app, and just the odds that you can get, as I mentioned, on mainline plays, just strictly line shopping. But you can find all of Betting Pros recommended picks based on the current odds that the sports books are offering and their lines as well, and Betting Pros projections. So you can find positive EV plays. You can also sort by win percentage, sort by biggest difference between the sports books lines and the Betting Pros projections. It's a great opportunity to find ladder plays. Cheat sheet's awesome. I lock in all the picks that I can on the app as well. You can find my profile at bettingpros.com/Modi. You can also get a free trial of the premium offerings. All you need to do is download the Betting Pros app to get access to a free trial of the premium offering. And then it syncs with all your sports books. So they have a bet sync function. Sync your bets through the different sports books is very, very helpful. One of the questions made me laugh, which I'll answer. But yeah, Betting Pros app is phenomenal. Bettingpros.com/apps. My profile, bettingpros.com/Modi. Sam, Fly Eagles Fly, thanks for your efforts. Good luck. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Sound a little parched, a little bit. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I just need a nice cold beverage for to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. All right, we're 4 picks down. Let's get into the back half of this. So Nuggets Spurs is the next game we're going to talk about. I'm actually going to have 2 plays in Nuggets Spurs. Nikola Jokic over 25.5 points is the first one, minus 105 odds at DraftKings. Honestly, I like the matchup for both Jokic and Murray. So just to give you a little bit of a sneak preview, I'm going to have both of them as plays. They're also going to be in our same game parlay as well. I get that it's a little risky having both guys to go over their point total, but it's such a good matchup for both of them individually. That's how bad the Spurs defense is. Both the point guard and the center have great matchups against the defense. And even with how good Victor Wembanyama is, they're still a horrible defense, and they're a horrible defense specifically in the ways that Jamal Murray and Jokic score. Now, this play is the Jokic one, so we're going to dive into that. One area in which the Spurs struggle particularly is not necessarily guarding the restricted area, like the immediate area around the rim, but guarding the paint area right outside the restricted area. Victor Wembanyama, if you try to get to the rim, he'll block you. If you can get a little bit outside of that and maybe just a floater, pull up, post up, whatever it may be, the Spurs are giving up, and this is since the All-Star break, the 3rd most points per game, specifically in that area, the paint area, right outside the restricted area. That's where Jokic thrives. He doesn't score as much under the basket as you would expect. He's not like a high flyer that dunks all the time. He's better in that non-restricted area of the court. In that same time frame, since February 22nd, the All-Star break, Jokic is literally scoring the 2nd most buckets in that area of the floor in the entire NBA. You take every single NBA player, he's scoring the 2nd most in that area, only behind De'Aaron Fox. Another area in which Jokic should be able to score a ton is as the roll man in a pick and roll with Jamal Murray. Jokic isn't known as an excellent roll man because he's not a high flyer like Clint Capella, Anthony Davis, but he still scores a decent amount as the pick and roll man. I mean, by far on the Nuggets, which isn't really that surprising. But because of how good the 2-man game is with him and Jamal Murray, as the roll man, he scores at a top 15 rate in the entire NBA. Again, specifically as the roll man. The Spurs are giving up the 2nd most points per game to pick and roll men. And he's only played the Spurs once this year, scored 39 points. Maybe he won't hang around 40 in this game, but I do expect him to have a good game, cashing the over 25.5 for us. Wemby should feast too, correct. I do think Wemby should probably have a good game. In the SGP, we will have a play for Wemby. I'm not going to say whether it's points, rebounds, assists, or whether it may be, but yeah, I do think that Wemby should have a good game as well. Next play, same game, as I mentioned, Jamal Murray. We're taking him over 21.5 points, best offered at minus 105 odds. Per the Betting Pros consensus, it might have gotten bumped to 22.5. I think I remember either seeing that or someone telling me that. So I would just make sure, again, check the DraftKings app and you can see the most up-to-date odds. So it did get bumped up 1 point. I would still take it at the over 22.5. So I mentioned how the Spurs struggle to guard pick and roll men. Another area in which they struggle is guarding pick and roll ball handlers. So they give up the 3rd most points to roll men, and they give up the 4th most points in the NBA to pick and roll ball handlers. Again, that's since the All-Star break, since February 22nd. Obviously, no surprise, Jamal Murray runs the most pick and rolls for the Nuggets. By far scores the most as a pick and roll ball handler as well. The reason why I love this matchup for Jamal Murray is because the Spurs play such a deep drop coverage with Victor Wembanyama at center. He's got, one of the lankiest guys in the NBA. He's a phenomenal player. So they drop him so close to the rim, hoping that he can clean up a lot of messes. But because of that type of coverage, they allow literally the most pull-up 2-pointers in the entire NBA. Guys don't pull up from 3 against them. They pull up in the mid-range. They give up both the most made and attempted pull-up 2-pointers since the All-Star break by a pretty decent margin between them and the next closest team. That's an area in which Jamal Murray thrives. He can easily pull up from the mid-range. Unsurprisingly, he leads the Nuggets in pull-up points per game. He's also tied for scoring the 10th most points per game via pull-ups in the entire NBA. That's on the season. If you look at the data since the All-Star break, he is a little bit lower than his season average, but he's still scoring the 12th most points via pull-ups in the NBA. So yeah, not quite as good as the entire year. Still very good overall. He hasn't played the Spurs yet this year. He missed that one game in which Jokic went off, so I don't have any data there. He did go off against them last year, but that doesn't really help us because totally different team. Regardless, I'm very confident that he's going to have a good game tonight. 2 plays left, both in the Hawks versus Jazz game. Before I get into that, I want to talk to you about a 1-year premium subscription giveaway. So if you want a chance to win a premium 1-year subscription to Betting Pros, it's your place to bet smarter, not harder. All you need to do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel, which hopefully you're already doing. But subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and then comment on this video. And that's it. That's all you got to do to be entered. We're going to announce a winner right here on the channel. So make sure to turn notifications on so you know when new episodes drop. So you can come in and claim your prize. But a 1-year premium subscription giveaway. Comment, subscribe, good to go. Zana saying, assuming he gets minutes. He's been playing a pretty consistent number of minutes per game recently. I think, it's been a while where they haven't quite limited his minutes as much. So, and he's so efficient when he plays, as you mentioned. One of the top usage rates when he does play, and his minutes, I know they're capped at 30, 32 or something, but he is still playing a decent amount. So I'm not really scared off by the minutes. All right, 2 plays left, both in the Hawks Jazz. Both are going to be officially tracked as 1-unit bangers. The first one is Collin Sexton over 22.5 points. I was able to get this at minus 105 odds at DraftKings. Looks like this one also got bumped up to 23.5. I would still take it at that number, at the 23.5 number. I'm laddering him up to 25 plus points and to 30 plus points as well, just scaling the unit size down a little bit. But I think this is an absolute smash play, in my opinion. This is probably my favorite pick of the day, the Collin Sexton one. If you had to only lock in one play, I would take this Collin Sexton play. There's a couple reasons why. Number one, tons of injury news for the Jazz. Chris Dunn's out, Larry Markkanen's out, Jordan Clarkson's all out, and Taylor Hendricks is listed as questionable. Hendricks will probably play, but he's still banged up, and that's still a lot of guys, especially guys that shoot a lot, mostly Markkanen and Clarkson, that are out for the Jazz. And Sexton has got such a good matchup against a horrible Hawks defense. The Hawks are giving up the 5th most points per game, specifically to shooting guards in the entire NBA. If you look even more specific than that, they're giving up the 7th most points to a shooting profile and the 6th most to a scoring profile. So they're not among literally the best matchup, but they're still pretty good. And this is mostly a volume play, or not mostly. This is also a volume play as well as a matchup play. Sexton's most likely going to play at a minimum 30 minutes in this game. 30 plus minutes is what we're looking at here. He's averaging over that amount in his past 10 games. He's averaging over 30 minutes played per game. I'd be shocked if he didn't get to 30 minutes. One source that I looked at has him projected to play 34 minutes in this game. As long as he gets to 30 or more, that's what we're looking at here. In games this season in which he has played 30 or more minutes, he's gone over 22.5 points in 13 of 18 games. And he's done it in 8 of 9 home games as well. The one game that he didn't go over was against the Celtics. It was their last game. And he still scored 20 points in that one. Obviously, the Hawks defense is not the Celtics defense at all. The Celtics have the best guard defenders in the NBA between Derek White and Drew Holiday. That's not the case with the Hawks. It's the total opposite. Is George threes a nice play too? Yes. Keontae George, I do think his 3-pointers is a nice play. I believe you can get that for plus money over 2.5. That I also do think that's a good play. I would agree with that. He's averaging 32 minutes, peaked at 36 or 38. Yeah, exactly. If he gets us to 30, 32, we're cooking. All right, last play of the evening before our SGP. Dejounte Murray double-double, plus 125 is the best offer price per the Betting Pros consensus. Now, this is mostly a play on Dejounte Murray getting 10 plus assists. But I decided to go safe and take the double-double as opposed to just the assists because there is the off chance that he gets to 10 rebounds. He has done that. He's gotten 10 rebounds once in the past 10 games, and he's gotten to 9 twice in the past 10 games. And the odds, last I checked, weren't dramatically better than, the 10 plus assist odds weren't dramatically better than the double-double odds. So that's why I went with double-double, just to be a little bit safer. But all my analysis is going to be based on the 10 plus assists. And with that thought in mind, this assist matchup for Dejounte Murray against the Jazz, it's just as good as it gets, right? The Jazz are a defense that we've targeted all year for point guard assists, and they've come through for us more often than not. On the year, they're giving up the most assists per game to point guards in the NBA at 9.8 assists per game. Again, specifically to point guards. That's the most. 9.8, that's the most. You look at the past 30 days, that number jumps up to 10.6 assists per game to opposing point guards. By far the most in the NBA. No other team is even above 10. They're at 10.6. They have no perimeter defense. They're aggressive in sending help. It's just a dream matchup for point guard assists allowed. Unsurprisingly, they're giving up the most assists per game, specifically to Dejounte Murray's playmaking style. So Trey's been out since February 25th. In that stretch, Dejounte's gotten 10 or more assists in 4 of 9 games. Now, that's not quite the hit percentage that you like, but in 2 of the games that he did not hit his assist prop, scored 40 points. It makes sense that he's not assisting as much when he's scoring a bunch. In this matchup, I like his playmaking a ton more than I like his scoring. These two teams just played at the end of February. He had 11 assists. I wouldn't be shocked if he had 11 assists again tonight, as long as he gets to 10. And if he doesn't get 10 points, so be it. He's obviously like 99% chance of getting the 10 points. So that's the play here. In the off chance that he gets it on rebounds, we'll take the cash. That's our last play. Now our SGP of the day, our same game parlay of the day. This is offered at plus 410 odds at DraftKings. I mentioned it's in the Nuggets Spurs game. Jokic and Murray over their point prop. Jokic over 25.5 points, Murray over 21.5 points. I already talked about those dream matchups for both of them. And then our third play is about Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama over 10.5 rebounds. I love him. I love this play, I should say. I love for him to get to 11 rebounds. He's gotten 11 in, I think, 7 of his last 10 games. Since he moved to center, which happened in December, he's just been smoking his rebound total. I think that's going to continue today. And that was my same game parlay of the day. If you want to build your own, if you're looking to build your own same game parlay, check out the Betting Pros Same Game Parlay Builder. You all know what same game parlays are, but you combine multiple bets within a single NBA game. And you can leverage different insights via Betting Pros, right? You can look at their correlated bet recommendations. You can look at their EV ratings, cover probability, a ton more in terms of how you want to structure your own same game parlay. Perfect your betting strategy by analyzing Betting Pros, their correlation grades and projections. Stay ahead of, excuse me, sorry, my dog's barking. Stay ahead by following the latest same game parlays placed by fellow bettors. Start building your winning parlays today at bettingpros.com/parlay. And that's all we got. Appreciate everybody who's tuning in or who has tuned in, who's been commenting. Zana, Sam Young, a couple new ones, Skyo Cat, DDR Styles, everybody in the chat. I appreciate you for joining me. Let's all have a great day. Let's all win our bets and have a good weekend.